Hey there, Sagittarius. Welcome to your reading for the week of April 7th. You start with this card. It says, "The time is now." It says, "It is time to act without hesitation, move past the old and move forward." You have this Metamorphosis card. It says, "Your inner self is being renewed day by day, so new and better ways can come forth," which I'm pretty sure that you've had this Metamorphosis card with me before, and so you definitely are undergoing some sort of change. A lot of people have been getting these cards of like getting started now on something. And, this week we end the Mercury retrograde on the 7th. So if you're watching this before the 7th, then, again, maybe, during the week of the 7th would be a good time to get started on any changes or anything that you've been thinking about doing for a while. You have the Three of Pentacles, the Devil, and this card flipped out with this one, so we'll take it. But the Three of Pentacles is about putting work on display. The Devil, I feel, is kind of like that little voice in your head. I feel like the Devil is almost like something that is telling you not to do something. And so I would definitely encourage you to conquer that little voice inside your head that tells you that you're not good enough, or that you can't do something, or that you shouldn't do something. And, I would just be careful of that, because, the Three of Pentacles is a card of quality work. He has done a really good job. And not only that, he's gone above and beyond. We have this the fire triangle at the top, and then we have a water triangle right here on the card. And this little bit extra that you see here on the Three of Pentacles kind of represents his something extra special that he put into the project. And it's definitely popping into my head for you, Sagittarius. I think it would be a good time to go a little bit above and beyond, especially if you're, doing a project for work that you want to stand out in, like maybe you want a raise or a promotion. Sometimes I think the Three of Pentacles says it would be a good week to, kind of do something to try to stand out at work or business, or if you have clients or something like that, it would be a really good week to impress people with your skills, because usually there's some sort of extra benefit with the Three of Pentacles. The other thing that I'm getting here, we go down to the Five of Swords to the Judgment card here. And, this is kind of saying to me that maybe some sort of little risk could lead you towards a purpose. Now, it's like sometimes I think we don't know that we're good at something in life, like a skill or whatever. And so, if you think that you should just do something extra, especially in work or business, I'm saying, then you never know. You might find out by doing something extra that you're good at whatever that extra thing is. I don't know. It just seems like a hidden talent, gift, skill, or ability that's being revealed to you at this time. Because again, Judgment is like your purpose. And so you could even be discovering a new purpose, through a skill. You have the Devil. The Devil can be bad habits, people with bad habits, toxic people, energy vampires. For you, again, I feel it's that little voice in the back of your head this week that's saying, you can't do this, or you can't handle this, or you can't, overcome this thing, or whatever. So, I'm not really getting much on the Devil in the reading, other than, working on that little voice in the back of your head, I think would be a good thing. Ignoring it, it's probably not true. It's probably the Devil on your shoulder that is whispering in your ear. So I would definitely ignore that voice. You have the Four of Swords. Still a good time to rest, relax, recover. If you need a break, take a break. If you need a rest, take a rest. And definitely don't burn yourself out at this time. We're going to have a lot of energy moving through Aries, over the next couple months, really. And so, we're going to have plenty of energy. And, also, by the time we get to the beginning of May, Mars will be past the Mars retrograde shadow. So, we're gonna be plenty motivated once we get to May. We're gonna feel motivated. We're gonna feel like getting things done. I've noticed just recently that a lot of people have been saying to me, in the comments and things like that, I want to get things done, but I don't feel motivated, and I feel really stressed out, or I feel guilty. And I always tell those people, don't worry, this is just a short period of time. It's barely another month of dealing with this energy, right? So, definitely something I think people shouldn't, don't beat yourself up over if you feel guilty because you're not getting things done or whatever, right? And, just rest, because you're going to need it. It's like once we get to May, I feel people will feel like they're having, a rocket strapped to their ass, and they're going to be, busy, busy, busy. So you might as well get the rest now, and, so that you don't burn out later. And I definitely get that energy off of the Four of Swords. So let's see what we get here in this first row. With the Three of Pentacles, you have the Three of Wands. Expansion, you have the Three of Wands twice, and, the Three of Wands is about you personally expanding. Again, I always say, until June, in the middle of June, you'll have Jupiter in your opposite sign, Gemini. So even though it's in your opposite sign, it will still benefit you, and probably will benefit your work, depending on what house it is for you, depending on your chart. You're going to have to look at your chart and find out. But, again, I would say really just in general, I feel this is a very expansive time for you in work. And if you're saying, I haven't been expanding, then now, well, you have the opportunity to do it right now. And the other thing is that I always tell people is that even once Jupiter leaves, it's like we usually don't, get the benefits of a major planet moving through a sign until like after. So even after June, you will still have a lot of time to get attention. Astrology, I think people look at it as like a hard start and a hard stop, but it's not. It's fluid. It's energy. It flows. So it lasts, longer than people think, and starts earlier than people think. But, again, I would take that advantage of standing out. With the Devil, you have the Magician. Yeah, the words that you believe are what's going to be true. The Magician, he manifests with his words. And so making sure that you're using positive words on yourself and making sure that you speak positively about the things you're doing is going to be very important. I also feel that taking a little bit of a risk would be a good thing to do right now. We have the Five of Swords. The Five of Swords could say that you need to cut out the devil, of course. But, sometimes I feel the Five of Swords is a risk-taking card. It says, like, you could be taking the risk of using one of your, I said hidden talents, gift, skills, and abilities. And the Magician is the card of hidden talents, gift, skills, and abilities. So I would say you could be taking the risk to putting one of those skills on display, and I feel it'll be worth it. Yeah, with the Four of Swords, you have the Knight of Pentacles. Exactly what I said. Knight of Pentacles, he has all the knowledge and wisdom he needs to be very successful, but he's the only knight in the tarot that isn't moving, and he's the only knight that isn't doing anything. He needs to plant seeds in this field behind him. But he does represent progress. So, your progress maybe has been slow, but you are making progress. And I also feel that, again, once we get to May, I feel like you could be one of the signs that really feels it, feels like we're, feels the motivation or feels the momentum picking up at that time. So again, don't beat yourself up. I feel like I need to say that on the Four of Swords for whatever reason. Next, in the area of what's coming in for you, can't make this up. It says change your tune. You also have this Law of Attraction card. So the change your tune card says change your words. Change the story that you're telling yourself, which is going to be very important for you. And it definitely came up with that Devil card. Magician is Law of Attraction. So, I always tell people, to me, I don't even care if Law of Attraction is real or not. I'm one of those people. I believe in it, but I also understand people who don't believe in it. But I also say it's free to think more positively, right? So I'd rather be a more positive person than a negative person. So as far as I'm concerned, whether it works or not, I don't care, because it feels good to think more positively. I feel good doing my affirmations every single morning, right? And so I think that whether you believe it or not doesn't really matter. But being more positive at this time, I think, would be a good idea, of course. You have the Page of Pentacles, the Five of Swords, and the Ten of Pentacles. Page of Pentacles could be something new. I kind of feel there could be good news coming in for you. I would like to see something else, I would like the Eight of Wands to come up in this reading, for example, or something similar that would really represent, good news coming in. But I kind of get that feeling off the Page of Pentacles, there could be some good news that you're hearing. I also just feel that you're kind of ready for something new. Sometimes I feel the Page of Pentacles is just talking about new, just wanting newness. He is the card of studiousness. He's the card of entering into something new and learning. But I kind of feel like you're ready for the new. That's more the message I'm getting off the Page of Pentacles. I feel like you're looking for a new environment or something new to surround yourself with. You have the Five of Swords. Again, I think separating yourself away from whatever the devil is in your life would be a good idea. It doesn't really matter if it's a person or, toxic energy or negative words or whatever. I feel the Five of Swords is saying it definitely would be worth it to walk away. This guy here, he's walking away the winner at the front of the card here. And so, again, sometimes we have to walk away from things, and, other people might not be happy with it, but at the same time, it makes our life better. Next, you have the Ten of Pentacles. Ten of Pentacles is everything you want and desire in your life. And it doesn't mean that you're going to have it. It just means that you can see it. So I'm a big fan of the Ten of Pentacles right now. If there was a time in our lives where we should all be working towards the Ten of Pentacles, it would be right now. And so I have been encouraging everyone to come up with like some sort of ultimate vision for your life and then just start working towards it. And whether you get there or not doesn't really matter. Just the simple act of working towards a better life will make your life better. And that's kind of like the point of the Ten of Pentacles. With the Page of Pentacles also here, there is an alternative meaning to the Ten of Pentacles, which is hidden or secret information. And it's not really hidden or secret, but you just have to go and look for it. And so this card says, if you're dealing with a problem, don't just let it be a problem. Make sure to do your research. It's like, other tarot readers contact me all the time, and they say, because they are also dealing with YouTube, they know that I'm overcoming a problem. Because YouTube is always creating problems. And they're always asking me, like, how did you overcome this problem? I'm like, well, it's very simple. All I do is I go and I do research. If when YouTube makes a change, I just go watch all the people who talk about YouTube and I see what they say. And then I run experiments constantly on this channel, right? So it sounds complicated, but as I always say, I fell on my head when I was 10 years old. After that, I became a straight D student overnight and never changed, right? So if I can do it, you can do it. For sure. But I would definitely, if you're dealing with a problem, just go learn about it. And I think you'll be surprised with like the solutions that you're able to come up with. With the Page of Pentacles, you have the Eight of Pentacles, really a back to work energy. A lot of people I feel are feeling this week. We have Neptune is in Aries now, which I think could be making people a little bit more motivated. And as we move throughout the month of April, I feel that you will just probably... I threw that card. You'll probably feel more motivated. Now, the good news with the Eight of Pentacles is it's a card of results. The Eight of Pentacles can represent material success on the horizon. And, that could be why you are feeling more motivated, because you're probably getting a result for the work that you're doing. So I feel pretty good about that. With the Five of Swords, you have the Hermit. The Hermit is about being in hermit mode. Maybe you need to leave hermit mode for sure. I think a lot of people, we've had retrograde since November. We've had nonstop retrogrades, one after the other since November. There has not been a break. So I think a lot of people, retrogrades make us go introspective. They make us, kind of like look into ourselves. They make us, soul search. They make us go through dark nights of the soul and all that other stuff, right? And then on top of that, we just had 2 eclipses. Eclipses can bring up the crisis of consciousness, the crisis of something going on in your life. So, it's like these 2 eclipses, they weren't necessarily bad, but I think that a lot of people could have had one, like a crap your pants moment during these eclipses. Let's put it that way, where I think something that was maybe very common for you, Sagittarius, is like maybe something came up during the eclipses that reminded you of a time from many years ago where like you didn't have money, or something else happened. And so I think those moments, they make us go inside of ourselves to look for answers. And now I feel it's time to come out. It's time to realize that you've overcome it, and now it's time to move forward. With the Ten of Pentacles, you have the Justice card. Yeah, Justice is cause and effect. It says, if you're working towards a big goal, take an action. If it works, keep moving in that direction. If it stops working, do something else. I always say justice is very easy to overcome. It's not even something we have to overcome. It's just an easy energy to work with, because as long as you pay attention to what's working, what's not, then things will work. This is also really good if you're dealing with something legal. We have the Ten of Pentacles, Justice, and the Judgment card. So if you're dealing with something legal, or, if you have been dealing with a legal issue, this could be justice. If you're waiting for a settlement, it could be a settlement coming in for you as well. But this could also be something like maybe you're waiting for an insurance payout or something like that. And so if you are, then that's what could be coming in there. Next, in the area of messages from your future self, you have this regret card and this release card. I think you need to release regret. What was this other card? Strength. So yes, I definitely feel you need to release regret at this time, especially, I think a lot of people as well with Neptune moving into Aries, especially you fire signs. It's like the type of regret you could be feeling is like, you could be thinking about things that you did in the past, and you could be like, now you know more. And so you could be saying to yourself, I wish I knew then what I know now. But these cards are saying like, but you didn't, and that's okay. That's how life works. So again, don't beat yourself up over things that you didn't know in the past. It's fine. Now you do, and now you can change it. I am also getting like, I would be careful of a person coming back from the past, although it doesn't look terrible because we have Judgment and the Ace of Swords. And, this doesn't necessarily mean a person's like coming back to be in your life. This could just be a person who is apologizing. And again, I'm one of the only readers that says don't go back to the past. So no need to leave a comment. I totally support you. Do not go back to the past. You have the Strength card, Six of Swords, Three of Wands, and the Judgment card. Strength is, of course, about your inner strength, which with the Devil, you probably are working on inner strength. The lion that she is taming on this card, that lion there is her inner voice or her inner critic, but it is submitting to her. So I feel this is your future self is basically saying it will be worth it to do the work on yourself to overcome your inner critic so that you can be more successful in the future. You also have this Six of Swords here. It's like you're leaving something behind, which is probably you criticizing yourself, which again, I think would be a great thing for you, Sagittarius, based off this reading. Six of Swords is also kind of like starting, it's not really starting from scratch, but it is kind of like going back to the drawing board. I'm pretty sure I said this to you recently as well. So if I did, then it's definitely true. I don't think you're starting over anything, but I do feel a lot of you could be kind of just going back to the drawing board. And again, usually that's a very good thing after retrograde energy leaves, especially Mercury retrograde, but it's pretty much true for all retrogrades. Like if you feel, it's like maybe you had an idea over the last like 6 months basically, and maybe you tried it during all the retrogrades and it didn't work, but that doesn't mean that something that you've started isn't going to work. It just means that maybe you have to go back to the drawing board. Maybe you have to like revisit something or try again or do things in a different way. So I always say that I personally try to make as many mistakes as I possibly can during retrogrades. I've started like 10 things over the last 6 months, right? Some of you have seen some of those things. And like some of those things are still working out great. Some of those things did not work out. But I make mistakes on purpose during retrogrades because you learn like 30 times faster, 100 times faster during a retrograde. So I don't like when I hear astrologers and stuff say like, oh, basically don't do anything during retrogrades. It's like the best time to learn. So, again, I think that's kind of also what this Six of Swords is saying. It's like saying you didn't waste the last 6 months. You learned something. You have the Three of Wands again. Yeah, time for Sagittarius to take up space. Again, that Jupiter and Gemini. I would do whatever you can to put yourself out there more. If you're thinking about doing things to get attention, I mean, you are a Sagittarius. Sagittarius is the sign of fame and fortune, right? So anything you can do to get attention would be amazing with this card. I also think if you're like Six of Swords, Three of Wands, they both have boats on them, the cards. So if you're thinking about going on any adventures, and as I've said to you for the last 6 months, I think Sagittarius is getting back to their adventurous self. Any adventures you could go on. That could even be an adventure from the comfort of your own home where you're like learning something new or exploring an idea. Any of that will lead to expansion. You have the Judgment card. I definitely feel purpose on the Judgment card. Judgment to me isn't necessarily a card of purpose, even though it is traditionally. To me, Judgment represents leaving something behind. These people are standing in these coffins. The coffin represents their old life. Outside the coffin is their new life, and they're being called to step into their new life. But I feel like something is happening to you where it's like, it's like you're doing something, and it's almost like someone is coming to you and saying, like, hey, you're really good at this thing, this skill, or you're really good at doing X, Y, Z, and maybe you never realized it before. If you have one of those moments, it's popping into my head hard that you should definitely pay attention because you might not realize that you're good at something. Again, I think when we are born with a skill that we just don't know because we have always had it. So we don't know it's special. It's like trine energy. People who are born with a bunch of trines in their chart are considered lazy, but really they're not lazy. They are just born with a skill. So they don't know that they're really good at doing the things they're doing. So they don't value it as much, right? And there are people like Oprah, for example, has a bunch of trines in her chart, right? So she is a person who learned how to use those skills. And, I think that, that's kind of what the Judgment card is saying. You might not have trines in your chart. I'm just giving you an example here. With the Strength card and the Six of Swords, you have the Ace of Wands. I have never seen the Ace of Wands so much, so it's definitely like a time of the spark, we could call it, where, it's like the information that's coming in for us, it could just be like a spark or a momentary flash of insight. So, I've been telling everyone, like, pay attention to those random sparks, those random moments, because the Ace of Wands is a spark. With the Three of Wands, here you go. We have the Eight of Wands. I said I would love to see the Eight of Wands in this reading, so there we go. The Eight of Wands is quick success, quick movement, but again, I was really looking at it for the Page of Pentacles. Page of Pentacles and the Eight of Wands is definitely good news coming in for you. So sometimes, Page of Pentacles, Eight of Wands could be like getting a job, getting approved for a job, or getting approved for something that you're trying to get approved for. This right here, with the Six of Swords, would also be really good for a move. So if you're moving, it would be good. If you are making a move, like if you're trying to get a raise or promotion, also really good. With the Judgment card, you have the Knight of Wands, call to adventure, literally what I said. So, the Knight of Wands kind of is your card. And, he's very adventurous. He's very spontaneous, the Knight of Wands. And so I think, just getting back to your Sagittarius energy, doing things that you used to do, that you used to enjoy, stuff like that. I think those would be really good activities for you this week. And, it feels like kind of a chill week for you. I mean, it's not that you're not working. Like I said, clearly you are. But, I think that Knight of Pentacles and the Four of Swords is saying it would be a great week just to have a chill week and to enjoy yourself. And, again, do more of those things that you love to do. Next, in the good stuff, you have this embracing card and this fulfillment card. Yes, you need to embrace fulfillment by doing more things that bring fulfillment into your life. The fulfillment card in the good stuff is very good. Can represent abundance or you just finding fulfillment in general. You have the High Priestess, the Ace of Swords, and the Justice card. The High Priestess is about trusting your intuition, of course. In the good stuff, she kind of represents unlimited potential. I always say the High Priestess is sitting in front of a temple, the Temple of Solomon, but there's no roof over her head. So it kind of says the High Priestess, like, sure, she represents intuition, secrets, mysteries, all those things, but she also represents unlimited potential. And with the Three of Wands twice in your reading, I feel it's definitely time for you to like really go for it, like really try to live at your full potential over the next few weeks. Like maybe not this week. This week feels more chill. And definitely as we move through April into May, I know this is a weekly reading, but as I always say, the universe doesn't wear a watch. Whatever messages come up are going to come up in a reading. So, the reading itself does feel extended to me, if that makes sense. It feels longer than a week and, probably into the beginning of May. But I think over the next few weeks, you are probably going to be feeling like the push to expand and reach your full potential, which is great. You have the Ace of Swords. Ace of Swords is a victory. It can be an apology. I do feel that. Not telling you what to do. You can do whatever you want. And I definitely don't necessarily think you're going to take this person back. But, again, a person can apologize to you and, you can forgive and move on, right? So I feel a lot of you that could be happening at this time. The Ace of Swords is also just a victory. So I definitely feel if you're getting approved for something, and it can also be good news as well. So if you're getting approval for something, you could be having a victory. You have the Justice card. Justice, again, is cause and effect. Like, if I do this, do I get that? Justice wants you to pay attention to cause and effect. If you take an action, what is the result that you get back? And I would really pay attention to that with this card, but also could, this right here, these two cards represent law and order when they come up together. So, again, there could be some sort of law and order. Yes, with the High Priestess, you have the Six of Swords again. I love 2 6s. Even if it's the same 2 6s, it's still very good. 2 6s is kind of like, it says you're moving in the right direction. It's basically confirmation for your path. So you are definitely going the right direction. With the Ace of Swords, you have the Eight of Cups. Like I said, you're probably walking away. This is typical eclipse energy. It's the only card in the tarot with an eclipse on it. And even though we're past the eclipses, doesn't matter. Eclipses last for like 6 months, 5 months, 6 months. So, this set of eclipses, we have the next set of eclipses starting in September. So, we're dealing with the energy that we just dealt with until September. No, that does not mean you're going to be suffering if you were suffering during that time. The way I think of it is, that like the eclipse gives us a outline of a puzzle. You know, it's like some people do puzzles and they do the edge pieces first, right? So between now and September, we are filling in the puzzle. We're putting all the pieces together. And so a lot of you could be doing that right now. With the Justice card, you have the Ten of Pentacles. Amazing. Definitely could be some sort of payout if you're dealing with something legal. Could also just be that you're doing things that are making you more money, which would be great, of course. And, you know, you could be feeling more lucky financially as well, which is also great. Excuse me. You have this dog close up. It says pleasure with a close friend. Eight of Wands is an amazing card for socializing, so I do feel it would be a great time for you to socialize. And again, that's very Sagittarian, so getting back to your Sagittarius nature. You have this older man. It says dealings or relationships with an older man. And you have this dogs card. It says getting together with friends. So, again, another 2 cards of friends. I'm actually going to pull you an extra card because of that. You have this kangaroo. It says unsettled times, need to plan ahead. Here's the thing. We are in unsettled times until 2033. We're in a time of chaos. That does not mean that you are going to suffer. Again, our job is to see reality for how it actually is and to basically say, okay, this is reality, but it doesn't have to be my reality. I can choose to take control. The universe is trying to get people to take control of their own lives. And so, people ask me all the time, like, why do you say that we're in chaos till 2033? I'm like, well, it's just the energy, but it's like, it's not a bad thing. It's the universe is trying to get people to be more independent, right? So, that's all you have to do. You have this 4-leaf clover card. It says great good fortune on it. Typical Sagittarius card for sure, so could be a lot of luck. You have this fire card. It says strong emotion, passionate love or hate. could be both if an ex is coming back, right? So there you go. You have this younger woman. I always clarify these people cards. It says dealings or relationships with a younger woman. You have this bouquet. It says compliments from an admirer. It could just be a younger person. Could also be you. You have this older man, younger woman. I mean, you could be the younger woman. You could be the older man. You could be the older woman. They could be the younger man. I don't know. Whatever. Doesn't matter. As long as you find a good person, right? But definitely could be love. Not really love reading, right? Like Page of Pentacles would just be communication with the Eight of Wands. So if you want love, you could just be communicating with a new person. But this looks pretty good. So thank you for being here and definitely enjoy your week.